way easier. Hopefully it's synced.
Okay,
It says we're live.
Uh-oh.
For like the third time today.
Now live on your channel. Is this it?
Now live on your channel.
Oh, cool.
Is this it?
Yeah,
Why is
that's
it
awesome.
Oh, whatever. Okay. Hello, everybody. Heather here, and I have a special guest with me. This is Tom of the Enthusiasm Project. And I apologize for any notifications that you've been getting. We've been trying out a new live stream setup. I can't remember who it was, but someone commented on the last live stream, like, why are you live streaming with your laptop if you have a Canon M50? And you know what? You're right. And I have my Canon M50, and with my trusty sidekick here, he helped me to connect it so that I could stream from there. But because live streaming is like still super complicated, we were trying to figure it out. So we pushed out like 3 different live streams. So we apologize for being late, but we're here now, and hopefully it looks better.
I think it looks good.
It sounds better.
I mean, I'm just gonna check in on it here. Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
cool, awesome. Okay, so let's get into it because we are running a bit late. Today, we're going to be talking about building a brand on YouTube, and I'm bringing Tom here because Tom was a person who I don't think went into YouTube thinking he was building a brand, but I think now, you know, not only spending a lot more time as a consumer and a viewer on the platform and seeing how other people have successfully, you know, grown to success and all of that, but also having his own channel and managing it. And now I feel like he's kind of in this position where he's getting to a next level, and there's a lot of strategic decisions being done to kind of make sure that things kick up a notch. That's why I wanted to talk about branding today. And the one thing that I'll say to kind of kick off this stream is like, why is branding important on YouTube? Is this even something that you should be thinking about? And what I would say is, I think if you go into YouTube and go into building your channel thinking like with the intention of building a brand and with the thought, you know, the strategy of knowing that this is what you're creating, I think you're going to resonate faster. I think you're going to be more effective with everything versus like, hey, I'm just making a YouTube channel for funsies. So in today's digital world, I think a brand makes you be a person. Okay, so here's an example. Tom is a person, and he's enthusiastic about tech and cameras and video and stuff like that. He could just make videos and tell people one by one, like, hey, come over to my house and see the video that I just made. And he could go to like anyone he ever interacted with and be like, hey, this is what I just made, or this is what I'm about. This is why you should follow me. This is why you should follow me. But with a YouTube channel, anyone in the world has access to watching his videos. And now anyone...
Wait, they do?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
And anyone has the... without him having to make a direct interaction with everybody, his brand still speaks his message for him, right? And that's kind of the power of the brand, is like, especially if you're just a business, not just a business, but if you are a business, you're not a person, right? A business is just like an entity, but a business with a brand creates a presence of a person where, because of all this content, because of all this interaction, because of all this connection, you feel like you're getting to know the brand, right? You feel like it relates to you, it resonates with you and stuff like that. So that's why branding, I think, is super important, making sure that like it's always the forefront of any strategy that you're putting into your YouTube channel. What say you, Tom?
Well, I think it goes back to what you and I used to talk about, like when we first met, we were doing Sharespark streams and all that stuff, which is a lot of people are kind of like, oh, why do you need a brand? Or even I've heard people be sort of jaded about like branding. But realistically, there's so much info of you online, even if you're relatively inactive. And if you're trying to be active online on a platform like YouTube, make a channel, whatever, it's kind of important for you to take control of that narrative of yourself. Otherwise, somebody else will, or just, you know, an inaccurate perception could pop up. So the more that you proactively structure a brand, it just means you're in charge of, you know, it's like the difference between getting dressed up and going to meet someone versus them like walking in on you in the bathroom. Like, it's still you, but you know, there's a version that you want other people to see and a version that you don't, and it's just important to be strategic. Can you
screw it up because you're going out of focus?
Sorry.
There you go. Okay, so if you are still kind of at a point in your YouTube journey, whether you either haven't started or you're feeling like, you know, stuck, what I would do is show your YouTube channel to somebody. I think I sent this in the last stream. Show your YouTube channel to somebody who has no idea anything about you or your YouTube channel. So like there's the Pat Flynn challenge where you just go to Starbucks and you just like, hey, can you look at my YouTube channel for 30 seconds and tell me what it's about? And if multiple people, not just the one, but if multiple people can spend some time, like they're not even watching a video, right? But they're looking at your YouTube channel, scrolling through your videos, looking at your, you know, your branding, and they can all describe in relatively the same way what you're about, then you are on the right track. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people get stuck on like, you know, what should I create next? What's my next video? What's like, what am I doing wrong? How do I scale? How do I
all
really
important things?
Yeah. But I think it leaning into that, if people are not consistently describing your channel, then what do you have to create? What is it that you have to do? Because I mean, there's so many different ways to approach branding. You could do so many different things. But what can you do with what you have to make it so that the next time you do this test, everyone's more consistent with the message?
Right.
James and Mark say good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
I think we'll see you guys later today.
Yeah. So branding, what do you think? Well, okay, is someone who is kind of like working towards, you know, if they're like, what do you think would be the first step or the next step, like something easy that they can do?
Well, consistency is key. So I think when people think of branding, and you've talked about this many times, the first thing that pops in someone's head is a logo and the design of your logo. And that's part of it, but it goes so far beyond that, because it's not just the logo, but you know, sure, if you're on YouTube and you have your little icon of your logo, that should go from your channel icon to your banner to the thumbnail design. So it's all consistent. Those little things like sometimes can make the biggest difference if you don't have that right now. If you have a banner that's all black and red, but your thumbnails are yellow and blue, like making that consistent will create a cohesive brand. But a bigger thing is to try to put yourself in your audience's shoes.
Which is so hard.
Which is really hard. And sometimes you need to like objectively, consciously sit back and do that, but really think about like, what are they going to think, feel, or do because of the things that they're watching and what you're making. And I had a conversation with someone last week where we kind of got into, there's a lot of channels that we both like. And after watching like 3 to 5 videos from that channel, we know why we like it. You know, like I know what I get out of it. I know I keep coming back for more, but it's not necessarily clear in their branding. And
right.
And
like
I think
you have to do the work to kind of put it together.
I think that that's true. If you have a handful of videos, at least on your channel, I think that if someone were to watch, you know, 3 videos, 4 videos, 5 videos, they would get a feeling, they would get an emotion, they would have a reason to connect with you. And the more that you can figure out what that is, I'm still struggling with this right now myself, trying to figure it out. But the more that you can figure out what that is, and then just explicitly tell them and make it clear in one video, so they don't have to be proactive and go on that journey on their own, you can just say like, boom, this is the thing. And then it's like, oh, you're just sort of shortening, you're just speeding everything up in a good way. So
yeah. And plus you make it easier for people to describe to other people who don't know who you are. What you do.
I always think of it as, you know, when there's a channel I really like, I go like, have you ever heard of Luke Towan? He's this dude in Australia who does really detailed scale models, and he makes videos all about scale modeling. You probably don't know who Luke is, but now you do. And that's a pretty clear, accurate way of describing his channel. So if you think of like, what would someone in Starbucks just hanging out with their friend who's like, oh yeah, have you seen this channel? Like they do blank.
Right.
Like, what is the blank? What could someone, you know, you don't want to be like, well, they're kind of like, you know, they give out a vibe. Like you want it to be, what is the thing that you do? And what could somebody else, you know, do to describe that?
Right. And I think it's going to take some experimentation, but oftentimes when you're starting out, I think a lot of it is just a decision. You know, I think if you're one of the lucky ones and you are very clear, like, this is what I want to make a YouTube channel about, and you just know, you know, like Luke Towan in the scale modeling, like he probably just already knew, like, I'm already doing this anyway, I just want to share it with other people. Right. That you're one of the lucky ones, honestly. I think like for Tom and I, we want to create something, we want to share something, but it is we that like kind of all like the things. Yeah. And I think it's going to take experimentation where you make a few videos, kind of get a feel of what you enjoy making the most, what's resonating with the audience that is following you, and then leaning into that. But oftentimes it might just have to be a decision. Like with this YouTube channel, the one that you're watching right now, I just had to make a decision like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start with online entrepreneurs, helping them build a brand and grow their business using YouTube. And then I'll scale to, anyone who wants to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
But, sometimes it's just a decision. Like even with you, hey, you'll help anyone, but you did lean into independent creators.
Yeah. And I mean, even like my thing, because again, varied interests, varied experiences, blah, blah, blah. What's the best way to do it? But the thing that I had to realize for myself personally is that I love cameras and camera gear and video production. Loved it my whole life. It's a thing I could talk about all day.
Forever,
I can do it all day, every day.
right?
Like I don't get tired of it. That's the thing I want to make videos about because it's sustainable, because it's not being forced. But
Right.
that is also a very crowded niche on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, do I need to just be another white guy talking about cameras like in a nicely lit room? But I think I would have saved myself a lot of heartache had I not spent a year struggling with that and being like, no, like and just going, this is the thing that I'm into. Like, I'm just going to go for it.
This is what you want to make.
And what makes it stand out is my perspective and my unique thing. And just because other people are doing the same thing, like there are multiple stores in the world. There's more than one restaurant on earth. It doesn't mean like
that you shouldn't try. Like,
yeah, it doesn't mean they can't be more than one restaurant. Like, people have varied tastes. This is a great Indian restaurant, but if you don't want Indian food, maybe it's not the thing. So it's kind of the same, you're putting your spin. So the more that you figure out what your brand is and your personality is, the more you can uniquely put that spin on your content and make it easier for the audience to connect with it.
Tom, James of Arc says, you're the white guy talking about cameras that I want to watch.
That should be my channel.
Oh gosh, that's funny. Yeah, so I think the difficult part for a lot of people who are new to YouTube is that, at least for me, it is a creative endeavor. So when you pick up a camera, you're initially scared and there's a lot of fear and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what people are going to think. But then you make your first few videos and you're like, oh my God, this is so much fun. And then all of a sudden everything is a possibility for a video. But again, thinking about that brand and being strategic, like I think I had to do a lot of experimentation in terms of like, because I'm teaching this to people, I have to learn how to use it and figure it out. But I think my brand would have taken shape faster if I had just focused on like, hey, I'm a YouTube coach and consultant. Everything I put out is just about helping you build your YouTube channel. And then it would have just come to life faster.
Did you have a gut instinct that that's what you wanted to do at any time? Or was there a reason you didn't lean into that sooner? But I guess, was there a reason you didn't lean into that sooner? And did you have a feeling inside that was the thing you wanted to do, but you were hesitant for some reason?
That's a good question. I think as a newbie entrepreneur, this is really annoying.
We have to figure out this setting so the camera doesn't.
The camera is like auto turning off. But I think as a newbie entrepreneur, I didn't understand the concept of a niche. And my whole thing when I initially started was like digital literacy for all. And it's like literally it's like world peace. Yeah. Like what the hell is that?
It makes sense that you're like, my audience is Earth. It's all of the people. That's the widest possible audience. Why wouldn't I want that? But it was so hard to like figure out, like everyone has different needs. Like everyone needs digital media, but the way that they use it is so different. And I didn't understand, like, I'm never going to help everybody. And plus I wouldn't want to, like I was thinking about this morning when I was digital literacy for all of a sudden there was this group of people who wanted me to teach them how to send emails and like use a computer. That's not what you wanted to do.
It's not that it's not what I want to do. But even more importantly, I felt like I could have made a bigger difference with someone who was already digital savvy, like knew how to use a computer, knew how to use a camera, knew how to use the internet, but needed to understand how to tell their story on YouTube. I felt like that could have had a bigger impact, not only for me, but for them and then their audience that they were building. And it just took me literally years to figure that out, So I didn't even really switch gears until this summer.
Well, the reason I asked that was just because I think for some people, maybe for you, I know for me, you kind of have like a gut feeling of this is the thing I want to do, but you're scared. Like you can get over the hurdle of making a video, putting it on YouTube, promoting it. But it's kind of scary to be like, but I do want to be this channel, or I do want to be that one. And I don't know. I think the more you can do to just acknowledge those feelings and just go for it, embrace it, the quicker your journey will be. But then I also had a question, because you're talking about niche and not understanding niche and audience. Is there a connection between niche, audience, and community? Like your niche and your community? Are they almost the same thing?
Again, if you're one of the lucky ones, like you know, Luke Town is a perfect example. Like if you're doing scale modeling, I think the community like can self-identify.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah,
People who like scale modeling.
Exactly. And you don't have to go, you know, you don't have to think like women ages 20 to 30 who are like new moms and starting a business. Like you don't have to do that. I think I'm in the gray area of like, you know, I have a pretty wide range of people who are using YouTube for their business and building a brand. So what I did was just, I had to make content and see what hit, like what resonated. And then when I tried to correlate different, you know, people in my audience, that's kind of the most common thing that came up. And I went with that. I leaned into that. And it's a hard decision sometimes because you think that you're closing yourself off. I still have people who are on the outliers that don't fit into that category, that I'm like, oh, maybe I should open up again. But seriously, like if we want to talk about being strategic about the growth, you know, you could do everything once you hit 50K. You could do everything once you hit 100K and beyond. But we want to try to like lean into an audience, lean into a community that can self-identify and subscribe to whatever it is that you are creating content about, so that it tips the scale. And then when you get to here, then you could, you know, do everything under the sun.
It's almost like going back to that restaurant analogy. If you think of a restaurant like In-N-Out, they have like 3 things on their menu. And, you know, if you want lasagna, great, don't go to In-N-Out. But if you want a great burger and fries or whatever, go to In-N-Out. And they just kind of build up from there. And that's sort of what you need to do, is just, this is my focus. Once you get to a point, then you can do what In-N-Out did and analyze and go, okay, do we want to just keep doing this? Yes, this is what works, this is what we love, just stay the course. Or do we want to branch out and now, you know, offer more things on our menu? And, you know, is that what our audience wants? But I think it is important to get to a point where you can make that decision in a way that's not just going to be confusing for everyone. You do need to take the time to build that solid foundation, you know, whatever that means to you, whatever number or whatever size or scale that ends up being.
And I think especially for like a business, you know, if you think of your YouTube channel as kind of, how do I say it? Like as a service that you offer, you know, so it doesn't, if you go into your YouTube channel as a business owner thinking that this is your best marketing thing, like it's not going to work, because people don't want to subscribe to a channel full of commercials, right? But if you are HGTV, but you know, you have a partnership with Home Depot, and at the end of the day, you're trying to get more people to come to Home Depot, then you make a channel about home improvement and interior design and, you know, before and after home renovations and stuff. And that's, you're not doing a hard sell, right? But you're creating content around the thing that's eventually going to funnel people over. And I think if you could see yourself as more, you know, a lifestyle type of channel, even with you, like, it's a perfect example. He doesn't work for anybody, but he's creating content for people who are eventually going to have to make purchasing decisions. So even though it's not his stuff that they're purchasing, that, you know, you want to use that same, if you end up creating a brand that people can relate to, then you can monetize either through your own products or through your own products, your own business, your own services, or funneling off because you're an affiliate, and you have partnerships and stuff.
Do you think that there's any kind of conflict between strategy and authenticity?
No.
Can you explain? Because I struggled with that for like a really long time.
I think it's a weird case because, like, I leaned into the fact that I don't know how to be anything but authentic. Like, I just keep it real, you know, because it's just so much easier to just be me on camera than, as soon as you try to, you know, put too much strategy into it, then you're trying to be something that you're not, and then it ends up being harder. I think the strategy for me is reminding myself to be as authentic, because you see what's working for other people and you're like, oh my God, I gotta do that. I gotta do that. You know, it's working for them. I gotta do that now. And sometimes it's like a constant reminder of, you can't be anyone else, and that's going to be the thing that resonates. Of course, there's best practices. Of course, there's techniques at work. Of course, all of that. But did that answer your question?
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked was I noticed Patricia
is chiming in.
Yes, from Leaders Inspired. She loved the lean in thing, and then she said it took me some time, but when it clicked, it was so much better. I just had to explore my own creative process first.
Yeah.
And it kind of connected with like when I started my channel, I had the very idealistic thing of like, I'm just gonna make what I want to make, and it's gonna be just pure
my gosh,
and untouched. And
so you
and I mean, I was like, I'll never put an
strategy.
ad on my channel. I never want there to be a strategy. Like that's the whole point. That's the beauty of YouTube. And it's like there's truth to that, but there's also like I think there's an important filter that you need to filter that through, which is like, well, it is going on YouTube. Like there's this platform. If I just wanted to make whatever I want, put it on my own website where I'm in charge of everything and I own all of everything, no one's gonna see it or find it probably, but it'll be whatever I want. If you're on YouTube and you're on this platform, you need to engage with the platform in some way and having a strategy. Like I swear I spent at least a year fighting it just because I was like, I don't want it to seem like I'm just doing this thing for strategy, and then realizing like, oh no, I can just do the things that I want to do, but just make sure I do it in a way that makes sense. So it's not just the shotgun blast of insanity, but like, hey, let's just have some focus and some purpose, but you can still do whatever you want. The most important thing, realizing if you have just unlimited freedom, it can almost be paralyzing. When you give yourself a few constraints to work within, it's almost like it becomes easier to be creative and easier to do more because you have a few principles or guidelines or whatever to stick with. And I just wish I didn't spend so long refusing to learn that, refusing to understand.
I know
that.
you were like, so just it's my thing. I want to do whatever.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is like if you treat your YouTube channel as another service in your business, right? So this is part of your business. It's not necessarily like here's the product and we exchange money for it. But if you treat it with the same magnitude as any other aspect of your business in terms of like, you do the, you reflect on it, like you have measurements, you track your progress, you put strategy, you do all of that. That's where you're going to, that's where you're going to see the same success that you would in any other business decision, because you're putting that same system into it. If you just kind of like, hey, let's just make a video because that's what we're going to do today, it's going to be really hard, not only for you to stay consistent with it, but also with your audience to resonate. So that's why it's really important. Like if you could just, if you in your daily business operations or for your personal brand, you're thinking about like how you're going to schedule out your week and stuff like that, there should be a dedicated amount of time. You should just dedicate the time. Like, your YouTube channel has the potential to be this huge part of your business, but you do need a time block and dedicate the time to be like, okay, this is how when we're going to make our content. This is when we're going to jump into the analytics, see what's working, see what's resonating. How can we apply that to improve, to take things a step up and all of that. And it just, you do your product development, you do your focus groups, those same things that you would do with any other aspect of your business, any other product that you have. You want to do that same thing with your YouTube channel. There's no shame in that. It's just like, hey, what do you really want? We want this to work. So why wouldn't you put that same, level of effort and care into your YouTube channel?
Right. I had a couple of thoughts. I was thinking of it almost like a storefront. If you have a brick and mortar business, and you have a storefront, you're going to think of how that looks, right? The curb appeal of your thing, your window display, your signage, your, whatever. If you are a restaurant, your little like seating area outside and all those things. You're going to pay attention to that because it's important, and it doesn't take away from the fact just because you have like a special sign in the window that like you're not an authentic business, right? It's no one would think otherwise. They think you care about your business because you want it to do really well.
Right. And it should be the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like, okay, if you're going to pay attention to designing everything with intention and the experience. Like you want people to feel a certain thing when they walk into your restaurant, your place of business. It's that same thing. You want people to feel like when they're going to your YouTube channel, like, oh, this is something I want to be a part of. This is something I want to subscribe to. I want to be part of this community.
Well, it's worth the effort too. A couple weeks ago, I was like homesick one day, and I had a video that I had made that I was excited about, and it was scheduled for the next week. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I just want to just release that video now. And like, which is fine. And then I was like, oh, should I have done that? Because in the end, I went through this back and forth thing. I had already like pressed publish on the video that I meant to save, which doesn't sound like a big deal. And it really isn't in the long run, except that like I had worked really hard to sort of build up a little bit of like a catalog of videos that were ready to be scheduled. Now I just burned through that, which meant the next week I had to work twice as hard to like, keep my schedule going. And more importantly, I was like, you know what? Now the video that I put out yesterday isn't going to get the same attention because it's being overshadowed by a new one. And the new one, it just like, instead of having its spot where it's supposed to go in my workflow, basically I ended up feeling like, oh, I was just super disrespectful to myself and the work that I put into this thing. Like I spent time creating something, I put the effort into it. And now like, I just completely disrespected it with like whimsy and lack of care. And I think that when you look at it that way, like you're putting effort into your channel, you're putting effort into your business. It's a matter of like also being self-respecting to go, okay, I'm going to take care of these things and I'm going to put thought and intention and purpose behind them.
Right. So if you say you're going to make a video every week, make a video every week.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it's also, it is why you should take time to make sure your branding is on point. It is why you should make sure that if you create this amazing video that your audience loves, and then the next video, you just want to do some random, like, here's my cookie recipe that has nothing to do with the business part of my channel or whatever. Maybe don't do that because that is going to, in a way, sabotage the other thing that you've been building. And that's not good for you just as a person or a business owner.
Right. So that's why it's like you want to treat your YouTube channel, even though it is a creative endeavor, even though it's super fun, but with the same care and seriousness as any other aspect of your business, even though, it's hard to see it that way because it's not a direct transaction, but this thing will end up,
it's costing money.
Yeah, but this thing will end up being the thing that can be your full-time marketing team that's working for you 24/7. So I think just being intentional from the get-go is going to really help you. So there you go. Brandy.
I got a lot off my chest there.
I know.
All these thoughts I've been working through. This has been great therapy.
So let's end with, what do you think makes a good brand?
I mean, a good brand, authenticity and consistency, which is probably like the most generic answer you can give to that.
Yeah, let's talk about like actual, what's an example?
Well,
not just from you, but from maybe even brands that you subscribe to. What have you seen work?
Channels that I subscribe to? So, okay, I'll use an example of a channel I've been following. Peter Lindgren, he's from Sweden.
I knew you were going to. Oh, no, I thought you were going to do the Christmas guy.
Oh, he's a different Peter. There's so many Peters on YouTube. No, Peter's from Sweden, and he's kind of went all in on a channel the beginning of 2019, had his like 800 subscriber special sort of last summer, and then is now at like 150,000 subscribers. And most of that has happened just in the last, he's gained like 100,000 in the last month. Yeah, like it just blew up, but it was primed because he was creating good stuff. But he had put in all of this time building a foundation for this brand. So even the videos that at the time were getting 100 views, 50 views, 200 views, like, weren't really taking off. When the channel blew up, you go back in this catalog and they're still the same quality, the same purpose.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
And when you see one of his videos, even though there's a bunch of other people in like the video production niche, he has a very certain thumbnail style. He has a very certain just video style. You kind of know the topics he's going to talk about. It's not just going to be like a review, but it's probably going to be a unique spin on this thing or a technique or something. Plus he's from Sweden and like leans into, sometimes English isn't always perfect. And sometimes like,
and he just goes with it.
Yeah. And you just kind of go with it, but it's really consistent. And even though there are other channels making videos about the same products or the same skills or whatever, his stand out in a really specific way, just from everything: thumbnail, video, personality behind it, social media presence, everything just builds this genuine brand. And I think that's a great example of, that's someone who did it while working another full-time job with like a family and stuff. So it's not like you have to be 22 with no responsibilities in a trust fund or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a good example. What was his name?
Peter Lindgren.
Peter Lindgren. Go check him out.
He's cool.
Yeah. Try to see what I can leave everyone with.
We're using examples. So.
Okay, so this is on Instagram. I've been trying to convince her to go to YouTube.
Is it who I think it is?
I think so. So there's an account, a person called Marie Saba, Saba, Marie, Marie. I might have talked about this before, but she's pies.
Yes,
that's all.
That's
okay, apple pies, cherry pies, everything pies, and like we found this place that sold pies, and I haven't really been a big pie person, but like that pie changed my life, and all of a sudden I just can't stop thinking about pies. So I subscribed to the hashtag pie, and hers like kept coming up. So I started following her, and literally every single time I go on Instagram, there is a picture of a pie. Like every time, it doesn't matter. I log on multiple times a day. There's whatever pictures where she's talking about pies, or videos where she's like making a pie crust or whatever. And it's so insanely consistent. He knows, because I tell him like, look at this pie, like look at this pie. And it's like, I can't stop talking about it. And I actually use it as a kind of a role model of what I want to do. Is that every time someone logs onto my YouTube channel or their YouTube channel, right? So they log into YouTube, I want them to see content where it's like, I'm talking about YouTube. Like, this is how much I talk about YouTube. I talk about it nonstop. It is everything. Like, it's everything that I put out. So what I'm saying about Marie, I want people to say about me and my brand. And I know I could do a better job in terms of like, okay, I post a lot about my dogs. Maybe I should do less dogs and more YouTube. Like, how am I building up my YouTube channel? How am I building other people's YouTube channels and talking more about that? So when we're talking about like bringing a brand to life, it is also, kind of monitoring what you think is contributing to this like brand statement and this, to that conversation. If someone's completely first-time viewer, how are they going to describe it to somebody else that has no idea who you are? What's going to be in those few sentences? I think right now there's going to be a sentence about dogs. I don't think there should be. Like, I think that's a little percentage of what I want my brand to be known for. But really what I want to hit home is like YouTube coach, YouTube consulting. So go check her out, because it's like,
what was her name?
Marie Saba. I'm trying to convince her to go on YouTube. She's like so close. She has a channel that's
she can
like
get a piece of that YouTube
47 subscribers. All right. Well, I think we're gonna end it because we are heading out to how was your Thanksgiving, Tom?
It was great. How was yours?
It was great. We made vegetarian lasagna.
Yeah.
With beyond plant-based meat.
Which I would at this point just say is meat. It's just a different type of meat, because there's no way you can tell that it's a meatless lasagna. It's hearty and delicious. And then we had pie and salad and rolls, and I'm gonna go have more lasagna. Oh, like right now.
Yeah, like right now. So anyway, we have to head out, but thanks for tuning in. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Also, go check out Tom's channel, The Enthusiasm Project, and you won't be here, but I'll be here same time next week.
Yay.
And hopefully this stream was okay, because we're testing out the new camera. If you have any feedback, let me know, and we'll catch you guys later. Bye. And stream.
Happy Black Friday.